Please welcome Michal back to the stage, joined in conversation by Senator Mike Rounds, a Republican from South Dakota and co-chair of the Senate Artificial Intelligence Caucus.
Thank you for being with us, Senator.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, so the biggest current debate, I think, at the moment is this issue of state laws versus a federal framework. The White House has been pushing for a moratorium or at least some kind of restrictions on state laws. That has not happened yet. Give us just where you stand on this issue.
Well, let me lay out. First of all, it was tried in the Senate earlier and it lost 99-1 in terms of preemption. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't be listening to what the states are trying to tell us. You've got 50 different laboratories out there that are saying our folks are concerned about what's going on regarding how we regulate artificial intelligence, or for that matter, for the most part, social media and what it means to our kids. I think today in the Senate, if you were to ask what's going on with this thing, everybody's kind of looking at each other saying, look, we know we've got to do some stuff on this thing here, but let's try to find something that people can agree on. If you've got the states pushing hard, it's in many cases because Congress has not filled the void yet. And so the first part of it is a warning from the states saying, you can't just simply tell us not to do anything if you're not doing anything. The second part on it is, for Congress, is how do you put together a plan that actually does a good job of protecting the public from what the public sees as a threat? And so you look at the different committees and you look at the different ideas about what it would be, and the fear is if you regulate it, you slow it down. If you don't regulate it, you have people that could get hurt. Congress has yet to determine what the best path forward is, and the reason for it is it's not going to be easy. But let me start with a premise. If something occurred that would be wrong before the intervention or the interjection of artificial intelligence, then it's still wrong afterwards. At the same time, if something was legal before the interjection of an AI agent, it should still be legal afterwards. How you incorporate that at the national level has yet to be determined. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like an easy thing saying, you know, should we allow the states to do it or should we say, no, the states can't do it? It's a matter of you getting an early warning sign from the states saying you got to do something. But at the congressional level, we have yet to find that consensus of what that something is.
This is maybe an overly simple question, but what are the big holdups? I mean, we did see, speaking of crypto, we saw things move forward with the crypto framework. What are the biggest holdups on AI, on the federal side?
Well, let me just lay this out for you. Right now, I serve on the Armed Services Committee, I serve on the Intel Committee, and I serve on the Banking Committee, all of which have an interest in this. At the same time, you want to make sure that we stay in the lead. Artificial intelligence is not going away. It's not something you can simply ignore. The question on it is how do you maintain a lead in the world, and who do you want to determine the standards and the norms long term for the development of AI into the future? I think for most of us, the answer is it has to be the U.S. and its allies. It will be either the United States or it will be China. That's where it's at. And we want to make sure that the rails that everybody develops AI on are based upon U.S. or Western standards. The competition, what that means then is, and what we've got to be working on is what are the challenges we've got? Number one, with regard to people, we've got some of the best minds, the most creative opportunities for the development of AI, but we want to keep that. And remember that just simply on a numbers basis, China has 4 times as many people, and they are focusing on STEM. And so we start out with a lead, but we want to make darn sure that we continue to be the place where people want to develop their ideas, where the entrepreneurs are coming in and where the developers are coming here because this is the best place to do. But in order to do that, you also want them to begin their training on a set of rails that have a United States basis. Number 2, compute. You have to stay ahead on compute. We are right now. NVIDIA is a great example of that. The question is do you want the rails to be that or the stacks to be those of the United States and the Western approach to things? Or is it going to be on a Huawei product? And we think that we've got to win that battle right now, which means developers throughout the entire world have got to be focused and using systems that are based upon our standards. And then finally, if you really want to talk about the challenge for us with regard to AI, it's energy. And will we have enough energy to meet the needs of data centers that are going to just simply explode over the next 5 years? China has the advantage over the United States in that regard, and we've got to do a lot of work to catch up there. They're producing energy at a faster clip, and they produce more energy today than we do. And they're more efficient at producing energy right now than we are. So 2 out of the 3 we're okay on, but we've got to keep those advantages. But you know, where is Congress going to go? We have to recognize that we have to do everything we can not to regulate AI out of the lead when it comes to us or our adversary, China.
I want to ask you about another challenge or possible challenge. I don't know how you view it, but there have been several recent studies, including from Stanford University's Human-Centered AI Institute, that show that sentiment towards AI amongst Americans is much more negative than surveys in China and sentiment there. There's more pessimism versus optimism of what AI can do for society. How do you think about that? Is it a challenge?
It is. And look, here's the deal. What the American public sees in a lot of cases is what they see on social media. And on social media, they see deep fakes. They see manipulation of the ideas. They see people sitting in their own bubble and not getting it anyplace else. They see if you trend in one direction, they're going to push everything at you that they can to continue you down that rabbit hole. There is not a diversity of thought in many cases that's available to most people once they start looking for it under the existing social media things. And people are recognizing that that's not a good thing. And I think they connect a lot of that with artificial intelligence. The other thing is they've been told you're going to lose jobs. They're going to say, you know, everybody is talking about AI not creating more jobs, but rather the possibility of losing jobs. That is of concern. What they're missing is the fact that regardless of what they think AI is, good or bad, it is here and it is not going to go away. The question is, do we manage it under our standards or does China manage it under their standards? And now is that point in which we want developers throughout the world to be using the rails that we set up here with the standards that we have here. Number 2, let's provide the American public with clear evidence of the reason why they should be behind the development of AI as quickly as possible. First of all, it's the defense of our country. If we don't have the best AI systems, then we cannot defend our country against the threats that are out there because the bad guys are using it in their offensive weapon systems today. The other item on this that I think we have to talk about is what really impacts every American family, and that's healthcare. We have to make sure that we incorporate the use of artificial intelligence in the development of new ways to help people live longer with a higher quality of life. I am convinced that we can identify cancers earlier and we can address cancers earlier and perhaps even cure the vast majorities of cancers that afflict mankind today within a very short period of time if we get the right resources in the right locations and allow the databases to continue to grow in such a fashion that we get good information to those laboratories that would use AI. The other piece on this is we've got to be talking also about the other types of areas in which you can use this for financial services as an example. Look, we've got places right now where if we could allow the American public to use AI products to determine how they make their investments and so forth, this is an opportunity for them to actually do better than what they could otherwise. But in order to do that, you've got to have a regulator and a regulated entity that are both learning how to use AI and to do it in a safe way. It's the reason why we have sandboxes, as we call them right now, that we're trying to put into law to where a developer and a regulator can both learn in a safe environment about, number 1, how you develop the products, and number 2, how you regulate those products in an AI-related environment. Those are some things that we should be doing right now. We've got legislation out there, a number of pieces of legislation that would do that today.
And you've been personally very active in pushing for responsible experimentation, implementation in those sectors that you mentioned, in healthcare, medical devices, in financial services. Can you talk a little bit more about why you see that as so critical, that not only is the U.S. developing some of these technologies and dominant there, but that the deployment itself is also happening?
Yeah, look, the deployment here is what people will actually see as being of value to them. And once again, I come back down to, how do you share with the American people that what AI offers, while there are problems with it, with regard to social media and so forth, the opportunities for the improvement in the quality of life for them and their families is there as well. And in the background, there has to be a recognition, because we've got to talk about it, is what are we doing with regard to artificial intelligence, and why is it important for the defense of our country? You know, we talk about, it used to be that we talked about our Air Force and our Army and our Navy and so forth, but today there are 5 domains that are at risk. You have air, land, sea, space, and cyberspace. Artificial intelligence lives in all of them, but specifically within the cyber realm and the space area, where we are at a controversial spot in cyber all the time. We are constantly in the middle of almost like a cyber warfare with our adversaries today. There will be conflict in the future, and that conflict, though, will begin with conflict in the cyber realm to begin with, followed shortly by the space-based assets that we have as well that will be at risk. Artificial intelligence is used to defend that, which thus means defending our country and our allies. I focus on that only because we still come back down to the very basic premise. Number one, it is not going away. And so now the question is how do we make sure that the development of AI stays within Western standards, within Western values, and to where the development of that and the assets, the great wealth that can be accumulated on that stays within the Western worlds in such a fashion that our quality of life does not diminish.
I want to go back to what we might see on the regulatory front ahead. I was in your state last year interviewing 2 attorneys general from both sides of the aisle on AI regulation, and it really struck me how much they agreed on. So I'm curious, it was not the Attorney General of South Dakota though, but I'm curious to hear from you, where do you see bipartisan alignment on privacy, security, child safety?
Yeah.
What are you hearing?
Yeah, I'll come back to, I think the reason why the states are working hard to try to address the issue that they see, and remember, they're the closest to the people, is at the state and local level. They're seeing frustrations in that Congress has not done enough right now to, in their opinion, protect society from this new way of getting into people's lives. And so, but it's an early warning sign for Congress saying, we really do need to come up with a consensus about how you protect individuals from the incursion of AI into their families' lives and into their families' activities. If this was easy, it would have been done a long time ago. But you have to then start with the very basic premise. If it's wrong for people to or to lie or to provide misinformation in the first place, simply using artificial intelligence to make it easier to do so doesn't make it right. And so how do you extend that? As an example, let me take one that's not involved in any criminal activity. Let's just talk about the civilian side of, you have people that are really, really bright, and they make music, they tell stories, they write books, and so forth. These are valuable contributions to society. It's a person thinking and putting together things. That ability to be recognized with patents and copyrights is one of the reasons why Western society has advanced the way that it has advanced. We recognize that somebody can own an idea. If you do that, how do you protect from the use of that using artificial intelligence, or for that matter, any type of social media, and make sure that that person is still compensated for it, and that the value is given? If you don't have the laws on the books that are workable for both the people that are creating that content and the individuals that want to utilize the content so they know what the cost is, you're leaving something behind. You're not making it clear. You're not giving everybody a path forward. I think this is one of the areas that we should be able to, as quickly as any other area, address rather quickly at the national level, which is patents and copyrights, and how do you make it simple or easier for people to be able to be reimbursed, but also for people that want to use it to know how much the cost is. Is that kind of where you're going with this?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I could ask you 100 more questions. We're scratching the surface here, but I want to be aware of your time. So thank you so much, Senator Rounds, for sitting with us. A lot more to talk about in a future interview, I'm sure.